All right, let's go ahead and move over to this guy. Where do you want to start with? Okay, let's start with Game Pass because that's I guess that's the big thing,
That
right?
is a big one. Yeah,
All right. So, how long have we been saying, Joel, that Game Pass is unsustainable?
they have to do this.
They had to do this. So, Game Pass Ultimate is now going up to $20 a month. Game Pass PC is going up to $12 a month. Game Pass Console is $10.99 a month if you have it already. So if you have Game Pass Console, you can keep it as long as you auto renew for $10.99 a month. Game Pass Core, which is just the ability to play online, is $9.99 a month. And they're introducing a new tier called Game Pass Standard, which is $14.99 a month. No day one games on that tier. So if you want the day one games, you gotta go with Ultimate. Um, and yeah, it's we've been saying it. The day one thing is unsustainable.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand why they're doing this because they have to. And I'm not I'm not an Xbox guy. I'm not gonna come here and pretend that this is great and whatnot. Price increases always are terrible. Like I ended up paying $70 for my PSN last week because I had to renew. And I'm not interested in the premium tiers, so I'll just get the base and that's it, right?
Right,
Call it a
right.
day.
Still get great things out of it.
Yeah, but and it's not price increases are not great, but it guys it was unsustainable and you guys knew it. Like you guys can lie to yourselves and say no, Xbox has $1 trillion and they shouldn't be able to raise the prices because they have a lot of money. No, bro, this is unsustainable. That 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 model that they had was unsustainable. So this is a little bit better than it's interesting that they're doing it before Call of Duty launches because now they're gonna force people to either upgrade or buy Call of Duty, and this is again Phil lying and getting away with it, and you guys still be being Phil fanboys and oh yeah, Phil still can't do any wrong while he's out here like time after time lying, saying hey we're gonna go do this thing and we're not gonna lay anyone off, and goes off and lays people off, and hey we're gonna do this thing day one, and you guys are not gonna feel it. Oh no, price went up. Oh yeah, but we're gonna have Call of Duty game one, day one. Guess what? Now you gotta pay for Ultimate if you want it. So if there's one person that's losing in here is Phil's credibility. That's the one taking the hit. I think you guys, if you guys are fanboys, that's up. That's you do you. But Phil is like not. I don't know. It doesn't seem trustworthy at the moment. But Joel, man, what do you think of this new tiers?
Um, all of it is pretty much it's bad, but yeah, I understand it. Like at the same time.
Right.
Like it's bad because you're somehow giving more options, but you're actually almost like making it more limited in the same way, as strange as that sounds. Because if it was so all inclusive before, when you had your the prior tiers were like it was too good to be true. And so now that they're like, if you really, really, really want what you had before, you need to pay $20 a month, basically, is what they're telling people. And I don't think that's going to last to that price also for a while. I think if they try to continue this model, get ready for $25 a month next year.
Yep.
Easily. I think
That
that
and that was
that's
my
more
prediction. That
sustainable
my
for them.
prediction was that it was gonna go up to like $25 a month.
Yeah, I think that's where it ends up. I think for a while once you go into next year, if they're able to somehow go into that. Um, the one shining light out of it all is like the Xbox Game Pass core. Like, okay, You have like that. I think that that new tier is actually really good for people who are just like, you know what? I just want my online multiplayer. Yeah, I get deal discounts, but like, and I have a few games, but I don't really care about those. I'm gonna buy my games outright, but I want to have access to your servers. It's still overpriced. It's still too
It's
much
a lot of money.
for what you're
It's
getting.
$120 a month, and you get the same thing that you get for 70 a month on PSN.
Right.
Do they? Can you? Oh, you can, but you can pay for a year for 75, I think, because
That's
that
what I'm
went up.
saying. That's a
That
better,
went up from 60 to 75.
not good,
Yeah,
but better than what it was.
right.
I mean, better. It's a little bit of option. It's still, but still, like I can't pretend like there's any wins here because at the end of the
No,
day,
yeah,
the only people who I don't even want to say win because it almost feels like a gotcha is like the Xbox Game Pass console, which is like the hey, you're being grandfathered in. How long will that really last? I don't,
I don't know.
trust into the loyalty. I don't think there will be much loyalty from. I mean, we were saying we're talking about the honesty of Phil and how he's
If
operated the business. I
Yeah,
think if he has anything to say with it, this is not going to last very long.
I wonder if there's any numbers out there on how how many Ultimate and how many console subscriptions they had out there. I know
Yeah,
the number that was floating around was like 36 million like total, but I don't know how they're dividing that and how PC is and whatnot. So yeah, man, yeah, it's rough. Like I again, I find it interesting that again Phil comes out and says, "Oh, Call of Duty, they won on Game Pass," but then it's like, "Hey, gotcha." So it's only on this Game Pass because if you don't have this the Ultimate, you're not getting it day one.
yeah.
So even if you have standard, you still gotta pay the $70 and get Call of Duty. So yeah, I don't know. It's there's stuff happening at Xbox. We'll keep rolling because it's
There's more.
oh
But
man,
wait, there's
there's
more.
more bad news. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. You guys know if you're in the know, you already know. We're just recapping.
Right, we're providing
we're
analysis.
just get yeah exactly. We're just giving you guys our thoughts on these things and yeah. I mean I've said it for a long time, man. This model's unsustainable, and they needed to be some big changes. I think I said it a few months ago that if they want Game Pass to continue to be a thing, they got to change the model. And this is them changing the model, whether you like it or not. And I don't think that it's the value that it once was, but I think it's worth it on PC. Like people on PC like dunk on the app. I think it's fine. Um, I did have trouble running some games off of the app that were crashing back when I was subscribed to it. A few couple of years ago, but I think the Game Pass PC is the place to be right now. Honestly,
Yeah.
like there's you know that it's the cheapest tier. You still get good games. You don't get the day ones, but it's $12 a month, which is you know the price of a McDonald's meal if you look at it that way. So yeah, I mean some people would rather just eat the McDonald's and not deal with Game Pass, but you still have the option. All right. So Xbox. This is an article that the Verge put out today called "No Xbox, No Problem," and it basically talks about how Xbox wants the Game Cloud or X Cloud or whatever they're calling it uh, you know on TV devices. That way you can access games anytime. They're allegedly cutting back on marketing consoles in certain regions. Like I think it was like some regions, some parts of Europe, and I think like Africa and Australia that they're cutting back and not advertising the console, or at least as strongly as it once was. That's a huge concern right there. Um, If you're cutting back on marketing, dude, that that speaks volumes. So the other part of this story is the sales, and it's an indication. Like the sales pacing articles came out earlier this week. This article on The Verge came out this week. Um, yeah, man, it seems like they're really pushing for the PC, streaming platforms instead of just the console.
Yeah.
Um, Going back to the console pacing numbers, uh, PS5 is outpacing the PS4 at this time in its life cycle by 8%. Xbox is trailing the Xbox One by 13%.
Wow.
Um, and the Switch is down 30%, but they're already at saturation. Like everyone that wanted a Switch already got a Switch, and it's as simple as that. So a lot of people are gonna, especially the hardcore Nintendo fans, are like this year. They're even if they come out with like special edition Switches or whatever, unless your Switch breaks, you're probably not gonna buy a new Switch, and
Yeah.
you're gonna wait out to see what happens next year with a new model. But the Xbox One, which has been widely considered to be a huge flop, and then you got the series consoles doing worse than the one was doing at that time. Um, I don't know, man. Like this is like there's definitely alarm bells ringing, and you can tell. Again, I have a prediction. If you want to write it down, I guess we can come back to it in a few years if we're still around. But whatever the next Xbox is, whether it's an iteration of more powerful Series X or something new, that's gonna be the last one. And then, so we're gonna get one more console out of Xbox, and then after that, they're just gonna embed the app everywhere on your TV. Like if you have an Android TV, if you have a Roku, you can download Xbox games. If you have an Android TV, you can download the Xbox app. Samsung, whatever, right? Um, I just don't think it's viable for them anymore to keep making the console. Uh, takes a lot of money in R&D, um, a lot of money in marketing, dev kits, all these other things that you need to worry about, APIs, and when the developer tools and all that. It's just like probably I don't think they're getting their return on investment, and at this point they're probably is going to choose and use Xbox as a platform instead of just a console. So yeah, man, crazy stuff. Like there's alarm bells. Like this article's coming out, Game Pass, like all in a week, right? The third party rumors, those still around. Like we have no resolution on that because like that Phil came out did that nothing podcast and to basically lie again. Like there's still rumors that Indiana Jones is coming out on PlayStation. Like not on date on as Xbox, but like Doom's coming out on PlayStation. There's Xbox coming out on PlayStation. Xbox Studios games coming out. So I don't know, man. It's like I think Phil's cornered. He's making the moves, and he's gotta right. He's gotta do what's gotta do. But I, I guess this is my message to the fanboys is this guys, this CEOs and this presidents of divisions and all that, like Jim Ryan and You know, all these guys at PlayStation and even Shiggy, these guys are not your friends. Like they got a business to run, and they got to do what they got to do. They're not here to keep the prices low just so you, as their target consumer, is happy. They gotta make some changes, and this was clearly, the model, the Game Pass model was clearly unsustainable, and they had to make changes. Problem is that you have Phil out there saying, "No, no, we're gonna do this thing, and we're gonna do this thing, and you guys are gonna be happy, and they want this, and Call of Duty, and no other games are coming out on PlayStation, and then other games keep coming out, and the my message to you guys is like keep enjoying Xbox. That's awesome. If Xbox is your platform of choice, that's great. It's great that we have choices, right? Um, but just don't like be enamored with like this like CEOs. They're business people. They're out there to make money. They're not your friends. So that's all I gotta say about that. But yeah, go ahead, dude.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to it except that we saw this. I think your prediction, just in general, of saying like this next was the last physical iteration of an Xbox console is extremely valid. And even saying that you're looking at most likely, let's assume that next year is not next year, 2026, 2027 is like the next iteration, right? Somewhere between that timeline, end of
Right.
26, or maybe summer 27, something like that, I would say. At that point, you're probably looking at it at a moment where they would just end up um, maybe taking anywhere between 5 to 10 years from that to have a last console, which like to let that console live and breathe on its own, like over the next iteration. And so you're probably looking at from, let's just say 2027 up until 2033, twenty thirty
Yeah,
four,
7 years
maybe
at least. Yeah.
something like that. I think 2035 and beyond is when you start having the conversation, like you start already like having confirmation of like there's a new era, a new generation of gamers. People have come to this fold and are saying like it's streaming exclusive for Xbox. That's the route they're going. They can charge you, you know, $40 a month or whatever crazy it is with inflation at that time, and then say like, you've got access to this, that, and the other, and just make sure you buy controllers. They'll still sell their controllers because people love their controllers.
Yeah.
And TVs will be better technology by then too. So it's not all doom and gloom because some of it's a little bit catching up with the times, and that's like predicting what the future may look like. But for where things currently stand,
Right.
is why it's not the most joyful thing because they have an opportunity to be in a place where, like, you see what's going on with PlayStation, and we're talking about them outpacing even the PS4, with their sales and saying, like, we can go out here and we can actually uh be close to that and be have a similar type of success and see that there's clearly a demand for physical consoles
Right.
and there's not even a demand now. What does that look like for their future? Does that mean that, let's just say, PlayStation goes a similar amount route and in this year 2035 and they're also just an app or something? You're still gonna have like the wars in essence,
Yeah.
and if you're not having energy around your business right now, it's scary about the future. So that's
Right.
just me trying to play the prediction game. But yeah, all of this stuff was writing on the wall. This isn't like if you were just thinking it's just gonna stay the way it was for the next few years, it's been obvious.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a rough 90 days for Xbox. Like since the first when the multi-platform rumors came out, and then them being then damage controlling it, and
Right.
they had a great showcase, right? Arguably, nothing really moves my needle and makes me go crazy. I think it was a good showcase. They've had better showcases in the past. I think to me the last 2019 was probably their best showcase with the Xbox One. So man, it's tough. Like they're if they can't move the if they can't move the consoles, right? they gotta start looking at these other avenues, and this is where it's all stemming from, right? Uh, Sales are stagnant. They're doing even worse than the previous generation, which was considered a huge flop. I think that again, sometime either this month or next month, we're gonna hear. I'm predicting that we're gonna hear from PlayStation about a Pro or whatever.
Yeah, you
Um,
said July or August. I've got it written down,
yeah,
so
there you go.
clock is
See,
ticking. We're in
yeah,
July.
clock is ticking. So we're gonna hear. I'm sure that we're gonna hear something about that. Um, I saw a curious like I guess tidbit. It's been the Switch is the longest that Nintendo's been without putting a new console out.
It's
So,
their best thing they've ever done.
oh
There's
yeah,
no way around it. The Switch
yeah,
is the best thing there. It will go down in history. Generations will talk about the Nintendo Switch for a long time.
yeah. So I thought that was interesting. So like I think the Famicom came out in '83 in Japan, and then the Super Famicom came out in 1990. But now the Switch has been or longer than that gap of time out without a successor. So yeah, and it's it's pretty insane, and it's crazy, and it chugs. And again, we go back to their showcase, and I think that they had a really good showcase, Nintendo. I mean, but you can you look at those games, I was like, man, it's showing its age. Like I think the Mario and Luigi game looks great,
Yeah.
but it's showing its age, and the Zelda game looks cute. Um, but again, it's it is what it is. Metroid Prime looks fine, but I don't think that was running on Switch.
I don't think so
If
either.
you ask me, I don't think that was running on a base Switch. I think that was running on something else. At least that last shot that we got was that was not a Switch. So yeah, curious to see how everything runs from now until the end of the year. Curious to see if Microsoft's going to make some changes in the next year to leadership, right? And what their ultimate plan is. So very interesting stuff. Sony, they're staying quiet. They're laying low, staying quiet, man,
Yeah.
and they're doing they're cooking. They're not, Same with Nintendo. They're cooking. They're not out there. And see, and that's the thing. Like you got Nintendo that doesn't talk to anyone, and Sony that doesn't talk to anyone now, like they used to talk to people back when the PS4 came out. About halfway through the life cycle, it all stopped. And I think that they realized that they needed to stop because if they continued, they were going to end up with the same problem that Xbox is having, where Phil doesn't shut up.
Oh
And
boy.
then it just, it's true, man. It's true that it's like they're out there cooking, doing their thing, and Xbox is out here. No, man, I'm your friend. Trust me, we're gonna take care of you guys. I don't know, man. Like I understand, right? And everyone gets a choice. It's all games at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
It does make people happy. It makes me happy when I game, right? So I truly understand the passion because I am passionate. But at the same time, I don't have a poster of Hideo Kojima with candles around it, and it's like, oh, waiting for Hideo Kojima's next game, right? And Lord Kojima, save us from this game rut that we're having. And that's the thing with Phil, man. Like people started like, oh no, Phil's the man. He's gonna do the thing, and I don't know. It's been hit and miss, man. More misses than hits, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
yeah.